Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance at Performance Shop on Mopars.com. Saturday night, 40 degrees, just about 9 p.m. Not terrible. Trying to make this without the heater. But what we've got going, it is another Mac tool haul. I think you're going to like this one. Previously, we took a look at the Pro Stick. I have no idea how those turn into like hour-long videos, but it happens, and then I go through and edit, and I'm like, oh, I'll cut some stuff out, and it's like, what do I cut out? You know, I kind of want to showcase everything that I showcased. So, needless to say, I do attempt to make it happen for you. Kicker at the start of that one, I rarely do it. I actually was pining for 10,000 subscribers. Why? I don't really care about the accolades or notoriety. I just really want to release the snap-on stuff because it's creating a bottleneck with videos, because some of that stuff is like from summer of 23. And I foolishly took some of it that was new-ish at the time and compared it to other things that came. And so if I release those videos, it spoils the surprise of the snap-on stuff. And if you recall, man of my word, I said we'd do Matco at 5K, Mac at 7,500, and snap-on at 10. And I'm ahead of things here, right? I have to be. And it's to the point, it's just kind of creating a bottleneck that I'm getting tired of. So if you enjoy the videos and you have not subscribed, please consider doing so, if nothing else, so I can overcome this roadblock. And I promise I will never make that mistake again, or at least I'll try not to. But getting back to what's relevant here, we've got text messages right on cue interrupting us. We had taken a look not too long ago at this Purple Power, Purple People Eater, Barney, whatever you want to call it. And if you recall, these were on the flyer. I did not buy them on the flyer, but we got the flyer deal because I was sort of on the fence with them. I thought, yeah, I don't know. You know, I'd rather have blue, but Mac doesn't have blue. I'd like to do orange. I've got green at work. I have red, you know, as well. And I'd prefer not to have red. And these were always there. And, you know, as the promo ended, they sort of went from this prominent display area to the ceiling. And when I come in, I make a habit of stepping up and looking up and kind of quickly assessing the Ratchet inventory. And over like the 4 to 5 weeks-ish, maybe 6 that these were there, I think he got them like a little early, it kind of started to grow on me. And like the more I looked at them, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, you don't really see it much. It's unique. I don't hate it, you know. And we pulled the trigger. Of course, he was cool. He honored the sales price for us. And all is good in the hood. Shortly, I think it was that night or the day after of opening these things and showcasing them, I got aniseeds all over the little guy. And I tried to clean it up. I was like, oh, dang it, you know, because I was thinking like, you know, there might be this follow-up since I knew what was coming, but you can kind of see it there. That's all that's left. I haven't done like a thorough job cleaning, but yeah, it was one of those things, like it wasn't my hand. There was just this glob as I threaded something in that I didn't know was there because it was on top of something that I can't see on, and one thing leads to another. So these don't have a ton of seat time on them, but it has been great. I was very interested in seat timing this one a little bit because it's the redesign. You'll note the fasteners here going through the head instead of from the bottom up. It's top down. Just kind of wanted to get a little seat time. I don't have enough to tell you greatest Ratchet ever. I don't have enough to tell you it sucks. I do have some, and I can tell you it didn't fall apart. All right. Moving on, a quick recap on this guy right here. And this is really the other huge selling point. I have waited for an eternity to get the 3/8 13-inch locking flex head from Mac. Okay. If you don't have a dealer, or you had a dealer and he's gone, and so you resort to monitoring the website or something along those lines like I was doing, you will know those things come and go, and when they go, they are gone, and they are gone for sustained periods of time. All right, it's not like, yeah, give us 2-3 weeks, we'll have another batch cranked out. No, it's a really long time. I also knew that I did not want a plain handled 13-inch 3. Anytime I've got something that's designed for leverage, if possible, I prefer to have a handle. So I've tried, I've waited, I checked with my dealer. To his credit, I think he did have the bare metal handle ones. But this was there, and it's like, you know, I don't know when or if they're going to get those, or when it'll be, or if there will be price jumps, you know, multiple times type of a deal. and that was a selling point. I think I've used this one twice. In part, I really wanted to get the time on this one, just in case anything was different. This, however, was and still is. This video went live this morning, by the way, so that's cool. This is so freaking solid. If you didn't feel around and have this here, like, this could pass for a 13-inch fixed head, right? The Snap-on, sloppy. The Matco, very sloppy. The Stahlwille, very sloppy as well in terms of side-to-side lateral tension. Like, this is the bee's knees of what I have. I've sadly not looked at your comments, because one of my things in that video was, hey, this design right here is similar to the gear wrench, right? There's, however, something, I've never used one, so I can't tell you, but you can press it and it goes freeform, you know, like just a standard flex head, or you can have it lock. Only real downside, if it is a downside to you, some of you may prefer it. I think most would like the dual optionality, duality, if you will, of, hey, do I want it locked or do I want it freeform, right? It's sort of two tools in one that way. Gear wrench offers that. I do not know. Like, is there's a crunchy piece of trash? Typically, gear wrench, it's almost like cultish from the outside looking in. People really seem to like that stuff. My experience with it is very limited. I don't know that I've ever used a specific gear wrench ratchet. I've used some that I'm pretty sure they've made, but I have been disgusted by a lot of the stuff that they produce, ignoring everything I know about the company that I don't like. So that said, I would still be interested in trying one, but I'm curious, like, is it rock solid like the Mac, or is there just typical, it's got some play in it? So eventually we will hopefully figure that out. For comparative purposes here, we're going to also drop in this guy. This is essentially a quarter drive, and it's going to be a flex head. That would of course be from, so I can spoil this now because these are sequentially numbered, the follow-up to that video. Okay, and we're going somewhere with all of this, and where we are going is to more text messages. Let me make sure this isn't important. Yeah, it's not important. I'll deal with it later, some woman. But, right here, if you follow the flyers, if you pulled the trigger on these, if you were excited when I brought these in, boom, check it out. You know what it is, hopefully. It's kind of the spitting image of the top of the, geez, you know it's a woman. Multiple texts to say one thing, but purple. 3/8 power hour, right? We've got the quarter drive equivalent. Super exciting. Kind of the same setup, if you will. You've got sort of the shorter fixed head and the longer locking flex head. These are here because of this. This impressed, especially this really impressed me. And I don't just say this, like, the purple really has grown on me. I know some people will be repulsed by it. I know some people hate it. Just in general, it doesn't have to be MAC purple, any purple, right? To me, it's always been mixed. Like, I really like Plum Crazy, In Violet, Mopar era, high impact colors. But then there's like some schools and stuff, you're like, yeah. And, with this though, I think it comes through fairly well on the camera. Something that MAC does that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, if you think like, man, that's sort of like a pale orange, it's not like a Hemi orange, it'd be super cool, Plum Crazy and Hemi orange, right? It's a couple shades lighter. They're green, which I've still never seen one of their green ratchets because they were sold out Monday and Tuesday when the my guy got them. He comes to me Wednesday if you didn't follow suit there. But I didn't get to see him in person. However, if you think back to our Dominator, Mac version of Mayhew's Dominator, it's like a, I don't want to say it's a hi-viz green and a hi-viz orange. It's not like highlighter obnoxiously bright, but it's somewhere between there and the darker shade. I feel like the purple is more like true to hue if you follow suit. Like, it's not, yes, they could have made it darker, but it's not like as light as the orange and the green. And I really do think the camera shows that, particularly, again, complementary colors here. If you're like, man, that would look a little bit better if that orange was a bit darker. It's not the camera, it's the reality. Okay, so it's a minor thing. If you're an orange person, it's just fine. If you're green, I'm sure it's a win either way. You know, unless you're like my nephew, you gotta have like Stahlwille SK type of green. But the purple, something about it, it really, really does grow on me. So hopefully it grows on you too. Again, the green, look at my alphas here. By the way, discount code Lone Star, I don't make jack, you get 20% off. Versus this ballastal pack, look only at the green there. It's that type of a thing, right? So the PB Swiss that always makes that noise, you get the idea. So the purple though, I feel like it's true to form. I don't recall in this video if I showcased this, drug it back out. This is their cheaper driver, right? They've sort of got like, I guess, the French-made ones now. They're super sad, the Proto Duratex, if you're familiar with those. Made videos on those and the Mac equivalents. They went from US made to en français, right? And this is their sort of like Taiwanese entry level. You can get these 12-piece foamed, $79 to $99 depending on the deal, right? But it's actually a really good purple. And if you have this, or you see this, or you have a friend that has it, you can see they've done a good job kind of matching the purple. So kudos to Mac on that front. But you're like, okay, well, what did this cost? What's the deal? Why does this one not have that annoying tag that you hated? Well, first off, fear not, to Mac's credit, and I will give them credit for this. This is hideously obnoxious, but it peels off. There's no adhesive residue left on anything I've had it on. This one had it, and my dealer took it off. I don't know if it had like a barcode or something for him to scan, but he just took it off, left that one. You tell me. I kind of missed it. He knew I was grabbing this, so when he pulled in as I was coming up from the shop, I guess he was like already taking it apart, scanning it or something. However, this would set you back, these two ratchets combined, for $299. Some of you, if you're familiar with Mac, or you've been kind of like, ooh, you know, I might pull the trigger, let me wait for a deal, you're like, wait, that doesn't seem right. Seems like that's a little too much, in fact. Some of you might know exactly. Well, let's break it down for you. Right here, the 6-inch. That's what this one's going to be, is a 6-inch fixed. Nice size for quarter. Part number, again, I give you these. I don't make jack. Every one of you could go try to buy these and call Mac. I don't see anything, not even a hat. Not even like purple half-inch, nothing, okay? But the sad thing is, this is Mac, so I can give you these verbatim. You can hear it, you can re-listen, write it down, make sure it's correct, type it in, and you're still not going to find jack, okay? The 3/8 set was advertised as limited. They did not put limited with the quarter, so I have no idea, but I can tell you, I just checked, it's not coming up. This is several weeks into the flyer. These have been a known thing coming for, I've known about them like 2-3 months at this point, so the 6-inch part number would be MR690PAP. Your price would be $119.99, at least for the red. I assume it would be the same, you know, for purple, green, orange, etc., if they made them. The next thing you would be looking at is MR990LFPAP. That is going to be our long flex head here, the 9-inch flex head. You would be looking at $164.99. So basically $120 for the 6-inch and $165 here. And if you're thinking like, well, let me do the math on that, that's like $285. Wait a second, you said $299. Dude, you got scammed. You know, like, there's no way they could sell these for like $14, you know, more at $299 than they should have been. They've got to be limited. That's your saving grace. It's like limited production run, right? Again, I don't know. The 3/8 was legitimately advertised that way. What are the production numbers? No clue. Did they have standalone serial numbers? Absolutely not, nor do these. These I've not seen advertised that way. I can't tell you. My dealer doesn't know either, or I would relay that information. But if you know me, you think, well, you're not going to buy anything unless you're getting like a good deal, or it's less than retail type of a thing. And that's correct, and it is. We basically saved $25. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. $300 is what you paid for these, but you can add up the standard red default Mac comfort grips in the same ratchet, and it's $15 less. Well, here's what we're missing. This. And you're like, whoa, there's nothing in there. Why did these come in a box? You know, like I remember in your orange Ratchet video, you complained. It's like, man, it seems like this should have been in a box. Maybe Mac realized that. Maybe their inventory went out to the dealers. Maybe the consumers raised heck. I don't know. Maybe it was us, if they actually watch this. But what I have in my hand is part number PTX-14RAT2P. And if you can figure out Mac part numbers, you'd have a pretty good idea of what this is, right? Especially like the 14 RAT2P. Think about that. Would that be 1/4 inch? Well, would the rat be ratchet, and would the 2P indicate like 2 pieces or something? Well, it sure would. And this little box right here has to carry like a street value, I would say, that would take the 284.98 on up to like quite a bit higher, right? Basically 325-ish maybe. And that would put this at around $40 street value. And you're like, well, what is it, man? Well, think about it. It's okay. Literally, the tape measure is okay. It didn't crack or anything. It's a Black Widow. It's finally here, and it goes tumbling. Nothing. Orange was in foam, and you think like, oh. Yeah, you ready for this? Here it comes. Yeah, that is pretty nice. Now, $40 is nice is debatable. I feel like, you could sell that to me all day for $15, $20, and I'm not going to worry about it. I feel like the 40 has a bit of the tool truck tax on it. That said, this is exquisitely nice. It looks so good. I don't know if it's just like the contrast between like that default gray-black foam color and the purple or what. But man, I really do like that. Also, I've kind of like the oranged foam. I'm not gonna lie. Not necessarily the color. I would say I like this color setup better. But one of my ratchet holders is kind of like getting hard to come by. I've got like a dispute filed. I think the 10th day from Charge Card Company hearing back was like yesterday, and they didn't tell me anything. So just going to leave it at that for now. But this is a very nice solution. It's also going to pair very well, and I'm going to have, I believe, the same profile, 1/4 and 3/8 and half, which will be helpful. But if you were to see these on the truck, you would probably have a box or two open, or just have this by itself, and you'd be looking at this glorious presentation. Now, some of you are already ahead of me, and you're thinking the same thing I thought, okay? Particularly if you pulled the trigger on this, maybe on the orange and the green, you pulled the trigger, on the 3-piece foamed flex head set like we did. Keep in mind, there's 2 more ratchets and a foam tray for that thing. It's just here for comparisons to this, which, by the way, nesting that right there, yeah, complementary colors. Just like they taught you in kindergarten. Everything after that was a waste of your time. You're like, hey, what's the deal here? Get the foam out. Let's see them side by side. Well, if you recall, we didn't get foam with that. I didn't get screwed by the dealer. I didn't get gypped out of the foam because I waited until after the flyer or something. They didn't offer it. So now instantly, I know what you're doing. You're like, you got to get foam for that. It's like, go type it in, macfoamshop.com, get it. You can probably even deduce the part number. It's going to be like 3/8 RAT2P, right? And I tried that, and I ran into 2 issues. Number 1, I couldn't find that configuration, but number 2, and more importantly, purple is not an option. You're like, dude, well, what is this? It's purple. Just go plug it in. Not an option. Clearly they can make it. Clearly they made it, but it is simply not there. So I did what any normal person would do. Dealer shows up Wednesday, and I'm like, hey, you know what I got to do now, right? And he's like, what? And I said, I got to have foam for the 3/8 purple set. And he's like, yeah, just go to Mac Foam Shop. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you go there. And so he goes on there, and guess what? He's like, well, there's no purple. And then he kind of thumbed through the pre-configuration. He couldn't find the ratchets, and so he's investigating it. I don't have an answer back. Maybe on Wednesday he'll tell me something, or more likely like Monday or Tuesday. But currently I don't know. If I know, I will tell you, and you will of course see it updated as we have a glorious pairing of 3/8 purple ratchets and purple foam. So, and again, I had no intentions ever in my life to buy purple tools, but yet here we are. It also helps, again, if you were already into the Mac Axis line and you had done the default red, which is all they offered, or more than likely like the bare metal handles. I totally get you people not coming here. If, however, you were curious about the Axis ratchet and you've waited, you now have some options. Now, getting them, especially without a dealer, is going to be very challenging outside of like scalpers on eBay or something. But I hope that this is like a sign of things to come. I hit on this every time, like they should have been doing this, they didn't do it, now they're doing it. I hope they continue to improve. They've got some capabilities here, like doing their own foam. Maybe we get like a petty blue handle. Maybe we get, you know, like orange and green are regularly stocked. I'm telling you, just trying to get this 3/8 ratchet. I didn't want bare metal, I wanted comfort grip. I would settle for red, since that's all they made. I couldn't do it, like months. I tried to do that for months. I had a video plan between the three. Can't get it, can't get the ratchet, can't make the video. So, they're on the right path, right? They're lagging behind the competition, but they're kind of doing it somewhat right if they stock things, you know, like, is this limited? I don't know. There's more questions than there are answers, but they are progressing primarily forward, right? And I will applaud that and support it and encourage them and try to get them to broaden their horizons and do more cool stuff. Because I will tell you, my most used Mac is a quarter drive. Oddly enough, it is a flex head just like this, but with red, because that's all that was available, and I love it. That thing is at work, and it is awesome. It broke in so much better than I thought it would. It was kind of like, it's not like it skipped teeth or anything, it just kind of seemed clunky, right? I don't know if that's the right word, crunchy, clunky, some hybrid of those two. That thing has smoothed out very, very well. Now, I'll also tell you, I'm not dealing with like 3/16 fasteners and tiny stuff. I'm typically 7/16, half, or 9/16 on that, all right? Like the upper echelon of what you should put on a quarter drive ratchet. It is a flex head, again, exact ratchet here, just with red. And it has turned out to be a fantastic little ratchet. So, that's kind of like, ooh, hey, you know, confidence is here in the Axis now. And then this is cool stuff. If they do the 1/2-inch companionship set here, and we get a fixed, I don't even know what their fixed 1/2-inch head is, maybe like 12-ish, hopefully, and then maybe like an 18-inch locking flex, it's coming home, right? You know, as long as it's not like insanely ridiculous, it's coming back. And, at that point in time, I guess we'd still keep these because they'd be my only flexes. I was gonna say, man, I don't know, it doesn't matter, it's not about this video, but I actually do like the purple. Again, this is not a, oh, you buying this for a video? No. I'm not gonna buy jack for a video if I'm not gonna use it, or I'm interested by it, or I like it, unless it's like, hey, I heard this thing sucks, and boy, it sure does, here's why. This really has grown on me. And again, you're either gonna be in purple camp and you already loved it, you probably have a narrow group of people like me. It's like, you know what? The more I see that, especially now 4 pieces in the foam, like, it is kind of cool. And then there's everyone else over here that's probably a good third of the population. Like, that is sick. I'd never buy that. But it has kind of brought me from like on the fence to like, this is pretty cool. And I'm okay with that, because again, I think it's just the uniqueness of it. And again, that kind of draws me in. So, plus, they don't have blue, and again, in a perfect world, this would be darker, the green would be darker, they'd have like a hi-viz to supplement, you know, it is what it is. That said, that is how we saved the $25. You'd put a street value of 40-ish bucks on this foam, which again seems high. If you care, if you want to distinguish this from like your, I don't know, like third-party foam, which you could probably get for around the 20 bucks, They do have the Mac Tools logo. Now, let's step this up, Mac. I think I mentioned this on the orange foam. Just color code that. I get it, red is your default. You've broken the mold here, right? You got purple. Put a purple Mac logo there. Even if it's just the purple background, just do something color corrected, because that is not right, okay? This is like if you come in and you get a new truck and the bumper's painted, but then the mirrors are... It's not right. It's the little things, man. And that is a very little thing, but hey, we're going to take it in stride. So, what I want to do now is pull this guy out, and we're going to do two things. We're going to zoom in, and some of you are like, ugh. I know what you're thinking. It's my exact thought. They put the part number on the head here. Now, that is very easy to read. I mean, comparatively, I know it's not in the camera. In person it is, but it's usually like down here, and that is not easy to read. Okay? Case in point, Mr. Orange comes up here. See what I mean? It's not too bad to read, really, but this is clearly something, I don't know if it's just fixed heads or what, but they did that, so that's the thing. That's your part number now. Note, best selector switch in the game. This one's quarter drive, so it's smaller. 3/8 and half, you get an American flag with the USA. On quarter drive, I guess they couldn't fit that, so they just did USA. Super, super cool. I have played with this one off camera. I would have got this Wednesday, so whatever nights I was out here. I think it's going to break in really, really well. It's fantastic. Again, it's a little bit longer. Now, note, compared to other quarter-inch ratchets, this one gives me more handle. It's still not quite, I mean, anything quarter I'm going to complain with, you know, the daintiness of it all. But this has more material, and so it's not nearly as objectionable to me. That's all personal preference, but I'm consistent in my complaints, consistent in the praise, and this is a nice length quarter drive, especially when you get to pair it with something slightly longer. That's what we have here. Now, this little guy, you're thinking like, okay, man, that 3/8, so you sold me on that. Slow down. I assumed, and rightfully so, and as I'm sure any of you that watch that video would think here, like, this will be a rock. Just let's refresh your memory, okay? This hand on the handle, this hand on the head. It is the most solid and rigid locking flex head that I own, that I have handled. You know what I have. You've seen it. Or you will see it, or you've seen some of it, right? Stahlwille, Snap-on, Matco. They all suck compared to that in terms of the flex, okay? So I was thinking, like, this is going to be so cool, because you got to realize I've got this at work, and I absolutely love it, you know? So I'm thinking, man, this is going to be so cool having this thing just as solid as that. Do you see a problem here? Okay? This isn't terrible, and I mean, those others aren't wretchedly bad either, but this is completely different than that, okay? This is about like Snap-on. I think it's a little tighter than the Stahlwille and the Matco. Side to side, it's not bad, but like kind of, you got a little bit there. Not the end of the world, not a huge detriment, but compared to that, that is #1 by a landslide in terms of rock solid locking flex head, okay? This locks, it's not like I can break it down or anything, but that one is, it's as good as a straight handle, right? A fixed head, if you will. This, it's a nice bridge, I'd say, between that and Snap-on, okay? So it's disappointing that it's not the same. However, you'll recall, I had one complaint on that ratchet, and you're like, one complaint, oh, I remember. And as I do this, you're like, oh yeah. Doesn't go 90 degrees, and you're like, it's 90 degrees right there, homie. No, not anymore. I know, that's very minor. But the two positions I use the most, not to seem completely boring to you, this, straight, standard, and 90 degrees head down, okay? So, you're thinking like, oh yeah, you're getting all the bad stuff out of the way. There it is, right there. And you're like, yep. Wait, you say. Did that just lock at 90 degrees head down like you said you wanted? You're like, well, push up, it's going to go to the next detent. No, it literally has the position that I want that to have. Why is this not consistent? This one is rock solid, but does not go 90 degrees head down. This one is a little play, not as rock solid, but it goes 90 degrees down. Make it make sense, because I came about to time out there, but you talk about insanity. So, next week, when I hop on there to pay for the light, which spoiler alert, I'm pretty impressed with it. I've only used it for like parts of today. It charged really, really fast. Granted, I don't know how low it was just in yellow, but it charged super fast. I have used the pickup feature. And, there's going to be times it's in your way, but at that point in time, I'll just jump down. By the way, that icon light, I was totally wrong about 500. It's 800 lumen. Nonetheless, back to this. When I hop on there to pay for that light, I'm going to see if he's got any half-inch locking flex heads. I don't care if it's red. I don't care if it's specialty color. I don't care if it's a bare handle. I've got to know if it locks 90 degrees head down. And when I say head down, I mean like the logo back on itself, meaning I'm either driving vertical underneath a motor, or I'm like going down into a panel type of a thing. Those are my two most used positions. Yes, it's absolutely wonderful that there's a host of other spots that I could lock into. I only do stuff like that when the task at hand dictates it, right? So coming back to like a 3/8, if I'm able to snake through the K-member, and get over here to like a fuel regulator bracket, and this is the angle that does it, that's what I'm going to use. But otherwise, this, again, not to be disappointing and boring, straight, standard, fixed, sort of the strong point, right? But I do like to take care of specialty, which I would consider this. So if I'm primarily going to be using a straight ratchet, don't have anything crazy going on, I go to a fixed head to prolong the life of this ratchet, right? However, I just don't understand why I get my 90 degrees down here and I don't get my 90 degrees down here, right? It's very close, but it's not quite 90, right? Like, it's super awkward with the camera there, but like if I put this at 90, see how this handle here comes up and out, and this one goes straight down? I can't explain it. I'm not the engineer there. You would think it would be consistent. This is why. This is one of the many reasons I push for a Koken to make a locking flex head. Koken ratchets, quarter, 3/8, and half, are extremely consistent across the board. If you buy 3/8, if you buy quarter, whatever you use the most, if you go get the other two drive sizes, they will perform the same. I don't see that in other makes, okay? It can be Snap-on, and they perform differently. It can be Matco, and they're all over the place. It can be Mac, and I've got stuff like this, okay? It can be Stahlwille, and the quarter and 3/8 are like otherworldly, and then your half-inch is like a different planet, okay? Hazets are pretty freaking close. Gador, I don't actually have a quarter, shockingly. We'll have to fix that. But you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, I want there to be a staple consistency where if I could grab this and I'm blindfolded and you hand this to me, if I can't deduce anything by the shape, the weight, the feel, the handle, and I'm just turning the anvil, I'm like, oh, Koken. Oh, this is a dual 80. Oh, that's an axis. I shouldn't have, like, what crunchy nut is this? And if I'm doing flex heads, I should have them come the same range of motion. If I'm doing lockers, they should have the same, even position counts. If it's 7 this way and 5 that way, I want that across the board. I don't want to have, 13 positions on quarter and 3/8 and then half-inch gets 6, okay? Consistency. It's like architecture with a house, right? If you've got your front door under an arch, and then you have an arch over here for windows, you need to have an arch over here for windows, or it's going to drive people nuts. Okay. There's a house not far from me, and it has like, I think 3 arches, and the front door is offset to the first one. It's like, what? It bothers me every freaking time I drive by. I'm like, God, who would do this? Like, I feel obligated to go with brick and mortar, and cut out one wall and brick in another to fix their home for them. That's just how I am, and I need to have that consistency in other things. So, speaking of that, let's just jump in right here to that. This is always harder than it seems. It really is, especially with a camera in front of you. But going back, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess 5, right? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I'm going to say 5 down again. This is just real quick. Again, try this. Put a camera in front of you and try to count these positions. You always feel like you skip 1 or 2, right? Or they jump. So there's 1. We're going in. 2. Surely there's more than 2, right? 3, 4. I think there's 4 down. That's what I'm going to just tentatively run with. Now, when I hold this up, if you don't recall, and this one does not have the stickers, and you're like, show us that beautiful USA. It doesn't have it. That's because everything, as far as I know, is made in the USA, particularly the head, the internals, the guts. The button is not, and possibly the handle being hollowed out or something, I don't know. But it does not hold as well as the 3/8, okay? You can see there's play there. I can come back to this 3/8, which, yes, it's a torque screw, as you can now see. But we'll just go to roughly the same position. This is like a freaking rock. I don't know if they don't have the space on that striker to kind of catch extra detents or something. It isn't by no means egregiously bad. It's probably the second best after that 3/8. But it is nothing like the 3/8. To be fair, though, this has 90 down, which is a huge deal for me. So, as you know, when we do this stuff, I like to do comparisons. And the comparisons I'm most interested in is socketry. And that's because I have become absolutely disgusted. It sort of started with like that Duralast, which I believe is a gear wrench ratchet, and then like the Quins, which I think is gear wrench based. They have a lot of play in the anvil, right? It's just inherent in the snap ring design, but that doesn't bother me as much as maybe the sockets that go on and where they rest with the detents. They don't mesh well. And then some of these Macs have been that same way. It's very, very strange. So we're going to grab our standard fixed head here, and we're going to come in. We've got a whole host of things here. This is Stahlwille, okay? Quarter drive, 12 point, I think it's a 13 mil. That is beautiful. There's no issues there. It doesn't pop back off. Again, you got 2 ways of this. You can have the single detent machined to different standards. You can have a double detent that might catch multiple standards. You can have the anvil with either like a erratic finish out or lack of machining here. You could have the ball detent in a strange position. It could be as simple as the spring isn't strong, right, or something. But there's a situation that it's creating that's just mind-bogglingly infuriating to me. Right here, we'll just stick with the German brands. This is a quarter drive Hazet 9/16. That's beautiful. I have 0 issues with that. We come in now. I've got a Koken 9/16. I've got no problems there. Right here, this is an SK. This is deep, just for variety. We go, good lord. You can probably guess what's going to happen here. This already did it. It doesn't stay nested, it like pops up. Oddly enough, if I recall, the 3/8 SKs fit way better than most of the others. So you're left with the question of like, what's the problem, and why is the problem not consistent? Do just SK sockets not fit across the board? It should be the frickin' same. If SKs mate well with Mac, I want to see quarter 3/8 and half SKs with Mac ratchets, right? This I just grabbed for kicks and giggles. I have not tried it. It is a Capri. I just never use these things. A 1/4 inch in. I thought it'd be a good idea to have them. I've lined that up with the ball. It's not terrible. I don't think that kicked out any. Right here, this is Proto, okay? It's very hard to find. This is truly 5/8 of an inch quarter drive. That's hard to find. Blue point snap-on Proto. That's fine. Right here, this is my Craftsman. No, this is a Wright. Okay. No issues there. If we come in now, I've got a Koken Spinner. Not the best fitment, but not terrible. And just for the heck of it, I have a Z-Series Koken, which I so wish they made in SAE sizes. And it kind of rides off. Koken Z-Series, that's to me like specialty. And it's specifically designed to mate with Koken's Z-Series ratchets. This is just a standard extension. This is great for stereo removal, by the way. The quarters don't seem to have as much of an issue as the 3/8 drive, which is crazy, right? You would expect it to be consistent. I cannot figure it out. Now, I'm hoping that we reverse course through here. That fits very well, the Koken Spinner. Didn't seem to slide down that good on the other. We'll take the Koken Z-Series. Think of how great of a combination, like, I mean, credit to Koken on that, but look at this. This is a, what did I grab? A 14. So think of this as 14 mil, 9/16, whatever. Look how thin of a profile you have there. That's like, depending on the wrench, like that's like 2 wrenches. Okay, I'm not talking thin wrenches, okay, but like 2 box end wrenches. That's about the profile here, and we've got freaking 90 teeth and a real handle on the end. This fits very well, so that's great news. The Capri impact socket will come in. That fit well, and then it kind of punched out. Do you hear it? See? It's like you get to a point where the anvil would hit the stop, right? But see that ball? How like you're thinking like, hey, square that up. Well, I am, but the ball looks like it's up, okay? Now check this out. When this pops out, and I'm going to do it by hand because otherwise it would turn and happen. Do you see how the ball is centered now? That's what I'm talking about. It's like, it's that subtle of a thing, but it is incredibly annoying. It's extremely annoying. Here's a standard Koken. That ain't kicking. That's good news. We're back to the Wright 1/2 inch. That fit great. If I recall, Wrights have fit Mac 1/4 and 3/8 quite well. The Stahlwille. It sort of kicks out upon being put on. I don't know that I didn't have the ball lined up with the pin. Let's do that now. Not terrible. This is the Hazet. This seems to be fairly consistent. The anvil on this might fit things better. Proto didn't kick, and now the SK was probably the worst fitment here. See how that's seated all the way? I don't think it's going to stay there. It kicked up. Like, I don't know if these were set to different standards. There's so many things it could be. It could be the depth of the socket. It could be the height of the anvil. It could be the positioning of the ball detent. It could be the load of the ball detent spring. It could be the step, like on those Duralast ones that were, I believe, gear inch. Their step right there was like egregiously placed. It's all gonna work, you know, but that lateral play that you get when this is off axis or that gap is increased too much, I hate it. And, like this Hazet right here, there is no through hole, okay? And if you look inside, you can see nice wide oval shaped detent fits. And then if you look at this gap, as I turn this, it maintains its initial position. I can press in and it pops back. I can pull out and it drops back, right? It's centering on that ball. With the SK, check this out. We're going to push it on. You see how that's right up there? Okay? As I turn this, watch this gap, okay? Literally, right here, as I turn this, I cannot get the tip of this pin in that gap, okay? We're gonna turn. So now, oh, there it kicked. I was like, now you're not gonna kick. Here's the tip of the pin, and it's in that gap. If I press down, I'm going to wedge the pin back out. That's what I'm talking about. And this is not consistent, okay? 3/8 SK fit 3/8 Max really well. I don't know what's going on there. And there at the start of the video, I told you, I don't know how these always wind up so long. I'm not going to go into that. We could do some scientific assessment. I can slice and dice sockets, possibly, and measure detents and see what standards each one's conforming to and who should, in theory, mate together well. Here's the problem. I could take something that's supposed to be from the same standardization as another company's Ratchet, and they don't mate, right? And then I could take two things that shouldn't be compatible or mate up well, and they'll fit like a dream, okay? So this is where, you know, you have your tolerances, your plus minus, right? And nobody's missing the boat. I mean, it's not like I grabbed the cheapest socket or the most expensive socket and, you know, it's not a .250 square. It's like this .2750, and it just falls off of every single ratchet from every manufacturer. This is super finite, okay? This is like, I hope that all of your stuff pairs with your own product line, right? I'll give a pass for that, but it needs to be consistent. If I manufacture sockets and ratchets, I either want my sockets to fit with my ratchets only, or I want my sockets to work with everybody's ratchets. So you can get my awesome sockets and put them with your favorite ratchets, which I may or may not manufacture. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I had like 2 minutes left or something. I think it was like 18-ish when we fired up. So I'm going to call it a wrap. This is not like a super good deal, like price-wise or anything, but that ratchet sold me. This one was good to me. The quarter, which, take this one at work, excellent. Broken beautifully. Love them. The purple truly did grow on me. And the foam has also grown on me. I've got the orange sitting over here in the blue box. But I'm hoping I can get purple there, and maybe again if half-inch duo comes out, we'll go that route. What do we do if they release purple flex heads and orange duos like this? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, but I have had pretty good luck with the max axis ratchets, and luckily we weren't invested in the game early, so we get to experiment with them when they have like some more colors coming out. That's worked out well for me. Hopefully you're enjoying it too. If you use Mac Axis, what do you think of them? What are you using? Do you notice variations, half, 3/8, and quarter? Do you like the fitment of socket A, B, and C, but hate the fitments of socket W and Q? Tell people. It's your time to shine. You have the seat time. Share your knowledge and experience. With that said, I think we're kind of running out of time on the card. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. If you jump your Charger across the creek, land down, pick up a Mac Axis quarter drive set in the purple foam tray. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks again for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop. Caller number 9, it's bonus time. That's right, 20-something seconds left on the card. It would be catastrophic if we didn't get to highlight the potential gloriousness of the orange foam tray and the purple foam tray. So, can't really fit that well into the frame, but imagine, if you will, what these could look like in your box. Again, kudos to Mac for stepping forward, doing some cool things.